Welcome back, aliens. My name is Naveen Reddy, and let's continue with this series on Python. Now in this video, we will try to sort a list using a sorting technique which is bubble sort. There are different sorting techniques available, but bubble sort works well and is easiest one available. So what we'll do is we'll take some values here just to understand how bubble sort works in theory. So let's take some values. We have 5, 3, 8, 6, 7 and 2. Okay. Now we'll sort these values. There are a lot of sorting techniques available, right? Almost in every sorting technique we have one thing in common, which is swapping. So basically you swap elements, right? And that's how you will make sure that all the values are sorted. So swapping is one of the important concepts. So make sure that you know the concept of swapping. So what we normally do is we take a third variable here. So example, if you have A and B and if you want to swap them, you will take a third variable, let's say T, and you will keep the value of A in T, then you will copy the value from B to A, and then you will copy the value from T to B. That's how you swap two values. And we'll be doing that in this video as well. Let's start with the swapping itself. So what we'll do is we'll compare the first two values. In this case, it is 5 and 3, right? Now you have to make sure that the smallest one comes first. So you will compare if the first value is greater than the second value, swap. In this case, it is greater, right? So 5 is greater than 3. So what you will do, you will swap it. So now after swapping, the values are 3, 5, 8, 6, 7, 2. Right? And now what you will do is, now you will iterate, now you will go forward. So we have to make sure that if the first value is greater than second value, then swap, otherwise skip, right? In this case, it is smaller, right? We don't have to swap now. Now what you will do is you will iterate. At this point, you will compare 8 and 6, right? Now in this case, 8 is greater than 6, right? Now you have to swap as usual, right? Now after swapping, you will get 6 and 8, right? So the final value you will get is 3, 5, 6, 8, 7, 2. Okay, that's great. Now you have to do the same thing till the end. So let's make it quick. So now you will compare 8 and 7, right? Again, we know 8 is greater than 7, so you will swap. The new value you will get is 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, right? And the last comparison, we have 8 and 2, and of course we know we have to swap. So at the end, you will get 3, 5, 6, 7, 2, 8. Now after this iteration, after doing all these things, we have got one thing, which is 8 at the end. So after first iteration, okay, so after doing all these things, you got the biggest value at the end. But then the remaining values are not sorted, right? And now we have to reiterate the same thing. So I have to do the same thing again. And that's how bubble sort works. So it's all about comparing and swapping. Now you will start again. Now you will say again, you will compare the first two values, which is 3 and 5. 3 is smaller, don't have to swap. Then you will compare 5 and 6, no need to swap. Then you will compare 6 and 7, no need to swap. Then you will compare 7 and 2. Oh, we have to swap here. Then it becomes 2 and 7, right? So the final values are 3, 5, 6, 2, 7, 8. There's one thing which is important. For the second iteration, we are not checking for 8, right? Because 8 is done. So the maximum value you have is at the end, right? And after second iteration, the second last value is the second big element. If you can compare the list now, 7 and 8, those are the maximum values. So after second iteration, you got two big values in ascending order. Right? That means after all the iterations, so number of elements we have here is 6, right? So after fifth iteration, you will get all the values sorted, right? If you repeat the same step. That's what bubble sort is, and that's why we require two loops. One for the iteration, which will make sure that you will get the biggest element at the end, and the second loop, which is the outer loop, will be for do the same thing repeatedly. And that's what you have to do in this code. So let's get started with the code here. So it's quite simple. What you will do is you will take a list. Okay, so let me take a number list and let's assign the same values we had. Now once you got this value, you will simply say, hey, I want to sort these elements. Now the amazing thing is we do have inbuilt sorting techniques, right? But then we'll not be using that. We'll be implementing ourselves. So let's say I'm saying, hey, sort this nums here. Now after sorting, you will simply print the values, right? So you will say print the nums. Will it work? Of course not, right? We have not defined it. So normally you can define this sort method in some other module, or you can do that here itself. Let's do it here. So you will say def, you will define the sort function name as sort itself, which takes a list from you. Let's take num itself, and here you will do the actual magic. See, at the end, it's all about swapping, right? So you have to take two loops. So we'll take a loop here. So you will say for, and you will use I. Normally we can use any variable name, but then I makes sense for the outer loop. Let's say for I in. Now, the first question is, how many times you have to do this? And the second question is, in which way we have to do this? Maybe you can do it in descending order, you can do it ascending order. What we'll do is we'll go in a range, so we'll use a range here, but then from when the range will start. I want to start the length of the nums, right? So you will say length of the nums. The idea is your index number starts with 0, right? So we'll say -1. and then we have to reach till 0. So if we are going from, let's say, if the length is 6, we are going from 5 to 0. And since we are going in negative order, so we'll say -1. So iteration would be -1 here. That's how we use range, right? So basically we are going from 5 to 1. Now once you got the outer loop, now it's time to go for the inner loop. So we'll say for j in. Now we have a different range here. So for the first iteration, if you remember, we have to go till n, right? We have to start with 0 and we have to reach till 5. In the next iteration, we have to go from 0 to 4. In the next iteration, we have to go from 0 to 3. After every internal iteration, you will get the maximum value at the end. Then second last value will be the second biggest value. Third last value will be the third biggest value. And that's why the range will go till I, not 5. It will go till I. So depending upon the value of I, if it is 5, it will be 5. If it is 4, then it will be 4. Because after every iteration, we are getting one value fixed. And that's it. This is your loops. Now, we just have to decide one thing. Should we swap the values, or there's no need to swap the values? That's it. That's how a bubble sort works. So we'll simply check. If nums of j is greater than nums of j plus 1, then we have to swap, right? That's what we did in theory, right? So if the first value is greater than second value, swap. How do we swap it here? It's very simple. You simply use a temp variable. Temp is equal to nums of j. And then you will say nums of j is equal to nums of j plus 1, and you will say nums of j plus 1 is equal to temp. That's it. That's what you do. We have to make sure that you use two loops, one for the external, one for the internal, right? So the internal loop, it will do the swapping. The outer loop is just to check the number of elements you have, right? So if you have to do multiple iteration, not 1, not 2, it's depend upon the number of elements you have. For 6 values, we have to do at least 5 big iterations, so that after every iteration you will get one value at the end fixed. So you have to take the decision you have to swap or not. And once we have done that, you will simply save this and let's run this code. Will it work? You can see we got 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's great. We got all the values sorted, right? And that's the beauty of bubble sort. It is one of the easiest one available. In fact, we do have some other sorting techniques as well, which you will see in the later videos. So I hope you are enjoying this series. Let me know in the comment section and do subscribe for further videos. Bye-bye.